Welcome to Leading Entrepreneurs of the World. I'm Stelios Hatzakis, CEO of One Business World. Leading Entrepreneurs of the World features entrepreneurs, founders, and business leaders presenting on cutting-edge topics and the latest industry developments. Today, we're very pleased to welcome leading entrepreneur, venture capitalist, and author Frankie Russo. Since 2005, Frankie has built the Russo Capital portfolio of companies that span multiple industries, including technology, advertising, marketing, music, agriculture, publishing, and finance. These companies have offices in the US and India and serve 121 markets. Frankie and his team have led two companies to become two of America's fastest growing, Potenza Inc. and 360 IA. In 2017, Potenza became one of the top 50 companies in Southwest Louisiana. Russo was also named as ABIZ Entrepreneur of the Year and recognized as one of the top 20 under 40 honorees in Louisiana. The Art of Why, Russo's first book, which was published in 2016, landed on Amazon's bestseller list in the self-help category. Russo currently conducts book tours and talk shows around the country to help his audience master their own purpose. All proceeds from the sales of The Art of Why go to support microfinance around the world, with Kiva being a strategic partner in this area. Frankie will be speaking with us today about breaking why, hacking and rebuilding strategic emotion for success. Frankie, we're very happy to have you here with us to hear more about your efforts and about how one could and should answer the right questions to understand their why as they grow and develop and expand their entrepreneurial ventures and business operations. Welcome.
Thank you. Really excited to be on your show. This really important concept for me. And, that's this concept of really understanding and mastering your why. For a long time, I've been on a journey of entrepreneurship. I'm now 39 years old, and I feel like my entrepreneurship started at a young age, 13, 14 years old, very small, making and selling things like t-shirts or things that people needed. I would just find opportunities like that, and it just kind of evolved. But even before that, I was an inventor at a very young age. I was taking everything apart, trying to rebuild it and make it better. Had hundreds and hundreds of inventions, most of which weren't worth patenting and a lot of times didn't work. But it was a journey that really got me where I am today. And it was the early stages of what would define my passion and my purpose and ultimately lead me to profits. And that's a really big part of what my journey has taught me, is the concept of if you put why first, if you put your purpose first, then I will innately be able to tap into my passions, and also see many types of profits. So profits, when I talk about profits today, I'll be speaking in terms of not just financial or money profits, but also profits like extra time, profits like great relationships, or someone's life being changed. So there's a lot of different types of profits that come, emotional profits. So these are things that are important, mainly just because I've learned over the years that measuring what we do and why we do it is as important as doing it. Because the measurement of it is not just about being able to have some sort of a measuring stick or some sort of patting ourselves in the back, but it is important to reinforce and help us continue to go deeper and deeper into our passions and purpose. And so when I wrote my first book, which is The Art of Why, it was the title was Mastering Your Purpose, and it had the original 10 steps, which are now part of a curriculum I have called the School of Why. And those 10 steps take each individual person. I work a lot with entrepreneurs or innovators and artists and things like that to really not only identify what is my passion, what is my purpose, but how do I walk that out as like from a launching standpoint, which ends up being the first 5 steps. And then also, how do I walk that out every day? And that's a really critical piece of this is how do I make this a reality every day? And how do I have incremental growth over time? Because all of us expect to have these big white light experiences or these big moments. And the truth is most success comes from a lot of small moments, not these one this one big moment that we're all kind of waiting for. That we've seen on television, this Shark Tank moment, or American Idol, or all of these different survival games that are on reality television. That's not how real life and real success works. One of the things that I discovered through my journey was that it's so important to live each day in that day, which is very difficult, and it's been a journey, and continues to be a journey for me to accomplish that. But what I do know is that when I'm able to do that, not only am I more connected with myself, but I'm much more connected with other people, and all of kind of the world, or the universe, or however you perceive God to be. You're more connected to that space as well. So staying connected to people and to the greater world, and also my authentic self, is profoundly important. And that's really where the concept of Breaking Why came from. So Breaking Why was a follow-up book and concept to The Art of Why. And it's because partly from my personal journey, I actually went through a lot of different things over the last 4 years, including the pandemic. But even before the pandemic, some of the hardest things I went through was like a divorce. I also got remarried, and I've blended a family. I've also gone through a lot of changes in my businesses. The industries have shifted. We've clearly had a pandemic for the last year. So there's been a lot of stuff that kind of led me to realize there was some aspects to the 10 steps, and to this concept of really mastering our purpose, or our why, that we're missing from my original book. And that's why I was inspired to write the second book called Breaking Why, and focus on the piece of it that I call hacking and rebuilding strategic emotion for success. So this is critical, because I believe so much of what we do on the personal and business level ultimately is controlled many times by emotion, either by us going with our emotions, or getting good at just shutting our emotions down. So this concept of like, oh yeah, I'm not going to fear anything, or I'm going to do something at any cost, including my emotions, or I'm going to ignore my fears or ignore my emotions, and I'm just going to make it happen. And so there's the giving into emotion or shutting it down. Neither are necessarily the answer, but having a relationship and strategically using emotions to our benefit is where a lot of this focus comes in. And I believe that that's something that isn't talked about enough in this in the climate and in the world. I think we expect that business, we're supposed to just turn off certain parts of ourselves, get it done, and then get off of work and be a human, and a father or mother or sister or brother, or a dog parent, whatever it is that I am after work, cat parent, if you're a cat person. So anyway, for me, I had to really kind of look at that and be like, okay, what is the real relationship that I'm supposed to have with work, and it's sometimes unnatural. So this is about really unpacking the fact that, like, the work-life balance is kind of an oxymoron, because it's all me. And like being able to be my authentic self wherever I am is easier said than done. And it requires us really hacking certain parts of our the way we think, the way that we feel, and rebuild new ways to look at it, new ways to think about it. And this is a big part of where my focus is as I evolve as a business owner, an entrepreneur, now an investor and mentor. I'm very passionate about helping others, and that has kind of become the like real central point of what I believe all of our why or purpose is that ultimately it's to help others, whether that be a family member, whether that be someone in business, whether that be a consumer, whether that be someone that is homeless, or someone in need. Like, there's so many different ways that we can do that. And that's where I think our passion comes in. I believe that our ultimate purpose, where we get the highest level of fulfillment, comes from helping others in whatever we do. If it's inventing a product, if it's creating art, whatever it is, that's where our highest purpose is and deepest fulfillment comes from. But we still have to have passion. So this is another part of it. And passion is tied to a lot of emotions. And I believe that there's a lot to be said about not only living with purpose, but living with passion. And passion is where a lot of us as adults, as we get older, life and kids and responsibilities, and quite frankly, liabilities, and all the different components kind of like damper over time for a lot of us our passion. some of you listening might even be thinking, what is my passion? I haven't even thought about that in a long time. Maybe I've thought about my purpose because I'm a parent or something. I have got something purposeful going on in my life, or I'm taking care of my parents. So maybe I have some purpose, but I'm not really that passionate because I'm not that connected with myself. And that's a huge thing here. I think that there's a whole side of this where it comes to emotions that people really forget to check in, if you will, on where I am, what am I going through, what am I feeling, why am I doing this? A lot of times why became a theme for me because why is a question that I don't have to ask to survive. Okay, so why I have to ask what, when, where, how. Those are things that I have to ask every morning in order to survive. But I don't have to ask why in order to survive. I can survive my whole life and never ask why. I just need to make sure I'm doing what I need to do, when I need to do it, where I need to do it, etc. So asking why is about going deeper or higher, either way you want to look at it. But it's about getting outside of what's right in front of me, but doing it in a way where I'm still present and in the moment. So it's an interesting relationship to these things. And what I've found is that one way that helps me to tap into like, what am I passionate about? If I'm like maybe stuck or just getting started up, then those are usually like for me at Russo Capital with when I look at types of angel investments that make sense for what we do and what I do, I'm looking for someone who's either startup or stuck. Those are like the two scenarios, and depending on what day it is, I could find myself in the same place. Like some days I'm starting some things up, some days I feel stuck, and I can say that really from a pandemic standpoint, I think a lot of us feel stuck, and it's easy to get disconnected from things that we used to count on. So there's the challenge to really break my why, hack these emotions, rebuild them in a new way, rethink of them, reframe them is like on steroids right now. And it's hard. It's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. There are some days where I feel very disconnected from a lot of the things I used to count on, things that I used to be able to touch and feel, whether it be people or interactions or types of meetings that now are these bigger decisions that we have to make. And I know for me, it's just helped me to really kind of use this time to go deeper and look inward and become more authentic. Because the one nice thing about what COVID has given us is the ability to reinvent ourselves. Now, for some of us, we have a lot to lose, and reinventing ourselves is very expensive and difficult, and maybe for some of us, painful. But at the end of the day, I think that it's critical that as humans and business owners, entrepreneurs, and innovators, that we are really circling back to a lot of these types of feelings and not just ignoring them, but deciding a new way to have a relationship with them and then using them to our advantage. That's the thing, is that like we all know that fear can be advantageous for us to motivate us to do something. We also know that fear is not the most healthy motivator to be utilizing. So having a healthy relationship with fear, just like having a healthy relationship with happiness or joy, or hope, or anxiety. So these are all the anger, all the different emotions that we feel, using those to our benefit, not just ignoring them, but harnessing them and rethinking and kind of hacking at what it is that we currently have as our belief systems or our mindsets, especially when it comes to how we're supposed to show up. And I say supposed to because that's a big theme. How we're supposed to show up with work or at home or in our personal lives is a big thing for us, right? And like, so being able to break that down or hack that and then rebuild our own authentic way of showing up that's still honest and loving, if you will, or, gentle or generous or caring to people that are around us or sensitive to them, but at the same time being very, very honest, authentic to ourselves. Because I think ultimately, if everyone's purpose was to help each other, and then our passion was to tap into what it was that we innately originally were passionate about. So I want to talk about that just for a second. When I talk about passion, one like really easy small hack that I've used is to look and examine what was it when I was a kid, before my parents or society or school or bullies or anybody told me that I was supposed to be, before they told me that I was supposed to do something or be something different. What did I love? And it's funny because I actually am working on a third book right now that is called Love the Weird. And it's about that weird kid that all of us have an experience with, and either, you know, like a bully or a parent or society or culture or something that's on TV made me think I wasn't supposed to be like this. But being able to re-meet, and love that kid, that weird kid, that to me, that kid tells us what it is that we're missing and why we're so stuck, especially as we become adults and we get so ingrained into business and things like that. And being open to really understanding and embracing that part of myself and checking in with that child, some people call it the inner child, has really had a profound impact on me in becoming the type of well-rounded entrepreneur that I want to be, and I want to help other people be. So, you know, that's a really big part of you know, what is breaking why, and what does that mean to hack and rebuild emotions? The beginnings of it are some of the stuff we're talking about here today. What I've done in the book is take it through 10 steps that walk you through the first 5 are about getting started in this process, identifying what your passion and your why is, and looking at what it would cost to pursue that, deciding and committing that you are ready to do that and willing to do it, building a team around you of mentors and family members or partners that or investors, employees, staff members, all those different components, because you can't do this alone. Building that before in step 5 when you start. The second half of the book and the steps that we teach in the School of Why, and we've instructed in these books, is to be able to take it one day at a time, learning how to be patient and persistent, or learning how to adapt or accept things, and looking at that from a day by day standpoint, and really checking in and creating a new way to approach these things from the filter of what is my purpose, what is my passion. Because ultimately, when you bring purpose and passion and profits together, you create something very powerful. If you just have passion and profits, or you end up being willing to go to any length to make profits, which can hurt a lot of people and put us in a lot of problems. Now, if I have purpose and profits and don't have passion, a lot of times I'll burn out because I don't have that fire that really drives me. So it's important to be able to learn how to balance the three. And in that, how I show up, because conceptually, yeah, that sounds great. But how I show up on a day-to-day basis, I have to factor in the role emotions play in my personality, who I am, what I've been through, and how I can harness that and take that further. How can I continue to have these opportunities happen in my life and show up in a really unique way, the way that I would want to show up in hindsight. So, you know, I'm really excited about this. I hope that when the book comes out, which we're hoping is going to be either May or June, this new book, Breaking Why. Currently, The Art of Why is on Amazon if you want to get started with that, and also at Barnes and Nobles and other major bookstores. But real excited to get to share with you guys here today. I really hope you take something away from it. And if you want to reach out and ask questions or would like to learn more, I'd be happy to hear from you.
Frankie, what a very insightful and inspirational presentation. And you have said some great stuff. Put why first, measuring what we do and why we do it. See failures as opportunities. Use emotions, happiness, but also fear to our personal success. Choose and build the right team for you. And we all know how important people are. People do things, people build things, but at the same time, people destroy things. And at the same time, helping others and giving back. And all of the above in an effort to maintain an authentic self.
Yes.
We are going to be reading the book with great interest, and we can't wait for it to be released. If I could ask you a question, in the age, let's say, of a global pandemic that has affected all of us, others more, others less, in the age of remote work and unemployment, experienced within all industries and geographies, during such a time period when so many people may feel lost and are trying to survive, what could be ways that could inspire them? So one step back, could inspire them to ask the questions and find their purpose in life and in business. How important in such an environment is breaking why at this point in time?
Well, first off, you did an amazing job of recapping what was covered. I'm excited about that. You pretty much nailed it. Now all we got to do is just run out and do it. So Right now, I think breaking why is more imperative than ever before, because what happens for us right now is that it's very difficult to decide each day, am I going to try to do the same things I used to do and kind of be in denial about what has transpired or what's going, or am I going to really be willing to each day own what has happened, own it, accept it, and really pick up and with an honest with ourselves, being honest with ourselves, walk in it, right? And so the I think the hardest part is like not getting depressed. I think a lot of people have gotten very depressed in the process of this, and I think that you've got a lot of people that struggle with depression right now because of the isolation and just because of the hopelessness of not knowing what the future will hold. I think it's so important that I'm taking the time while I have it, because it won't be like this forever. Okay, first of all, it's going to change back for the most part to the world we had. So this is a unique time that I need to take to really allow myself to say, is this time for me to make a change that normally would be a lot harder to make? Am I supposed to look at this and use it as an opportunity? And what does that look like today? So does that mean a different industry that I'm going to go into, a different career? Should I even be in a career? Am I supposed to be doing something completely differently? I know I've asked myself that question a lot, and I'm trying to stay open to it, even though I don't want to change certain things. If I stay open and willing, that's the number one thing that is my job today, no matter where I'm at. If I'm unemployed, employed, I don't know what's going, is staying open and willing to what is it that the world is telling me, the universe is telling me, and myself is telling me about the situation, and just using it, using the emotions as well as the circumstances to my benefit as much as possible. Because anytime there is something that bad happens, anytime that something that feels like failure or setbacks, it is always an opportunity. But it's up to me to choose daily to step into that. And some days are easier than others, and that's what this is about. It's about finding ways to step into that each day, and it may look a little different for each of us.
And making the most out of every situation, as you also said. And then in today's environment, we are also being faced with another challenge that I think breaking why would be instrumental in helping us getting through that challenge. People are able to start, first of all, which is a good thing, their own business and build it and grow it with tools and resources that are available globally and abundantly in their country or at different countries, from outsourced solutions to freelance offerings. In this environment of so many things that get us confused, how can one ask, let's say, that confuse us? There are so many things available to us. How do we focus on the right questions to clearly define the steps in an effort to remain focused on key priorities and to be able to
Yes.
successfully navigate through today's complex and fragmented global business environment?
Exactly. Well, and I think that's where like being true to yourself is incredibly important. And what I mean by that is like, okay, first off, what is it that makes me tick? What is it that I love to do? And is there a space or is there a way for me to do that now or embrace that currently? And that's what we have to keep our ear to the ground. We have to keep our eyes open for what is actually happening, if anything. And I think for me, where most of my success has happened is looking at what's right in front of me and making the most of that. And so, like for a lot of us, instead of us trying to just like I think we can get lost right now in this vacuum of like, I'm supposed to figure out this big why. Try to think of it a lot smaller than that. Instead of this big why, what's my purpose? Am I going to invent a light bulb? Think of it more of like, okay, what's in front of me? What do I love to do? And what can I do? And so there's still action that's super important. Taking action is incredibly important in staying out of denial, staying out of depression, and not just manic. I don't mean taking action like just firing things, but taking action and trying things. Really looking at everything as an experiment has helped me tremendously. So try things knowing that they're experiments. If you think of things as an experiment, I've thought of business as experiments. I still do, because at the end of the day, I don't know. I have to stay open to the fact that this may not make sense or may not work. As it's when I get attached to these concepts or these ideas, whether it be a job or a business or a relationship that I start to begin to identify my authentic self as that, that's when I get into trouble. That's why the pandemic has broken us, and I always say, break your why or it'll break you, because that's how it works. I mean, we have to really realize this is just an experiment, and there's going to be a lot of failure, and that's part of an experiment process. It was, I don't know, 10,000 failures, I think, before the Edison made the first light bulb affordable and work to something that we use today. And so like, that's a ton of failure. I think that, at 946, I don't know if I could take it. But it's only if I think like this is an experiment and stop trying to attach too much to it. Now that's easier said than done if you're starving to death and don't have any money. So you have to balance on that. For some of us, it doesn't make sense to be entrepreneur. So we've got to connect to someone else who does something that we can work for, at least for a while, that we believe in what they're doing, that's still in line with what is my personal passion and purpose. So sometimes it has to be a side thing that we work on until it can be the main thing. But I will say that with all the confusion, like you're saying, and like how to stay focused, keep checking in and keep creating that filter for yourself of like, does this fit with what my passion and purpose are?
And it's funny how you said that breaking why or else is going to break you. And then in another, let's say, interesting situation that we are being faced with is the fact that we live in an environment that, again, today more than ever before, is extremely diverse and multi-generational, meaning in the sense that people may work until later in life and at older ages, or because others start earlier and younger in life through an earlier access to information, technology, tools, resources. We live in really, really a very, very expanded business environment, and we deal with so many people on a daily basis and in every and at every angle of life. So we professionally have a business active baby boomers, Generation Xers, millennials, Gen Zs in the workplace all around the world. Based on your observations and what you've seen, how are individuals from within these different generations coexisting in the same business environment willing to go through such a self-exploratory exercise and journey, asking the question, breaking the why, digging deeper in an effort to build their emotional infrastructure for success?
Yeah. So the cool thing is that at our core, we're all the same, right? We all have the same core needs as humans. And even though we have different experiences and personalities that make our emotions come out sometimes differently or come out, as like something that feels like we're real different, we're not that different, right? At the end of the day, navigating this and like staying focused on this because I think sometimes what happens, because there's so much information. Okay, we're in this age of information, and I don't even know. I think maybe we're past the age of information now, but there's nothing that we don't have access to, which is great, but can be problematic because information and understanding are not the same thing. Just because I see someone else doing it doesn't mean that that's what I'm supposed to do, whether that's like create a podcast or be an influencer. There's all these people that are coming up in this like world that's all digitized, and a lot of young people think that like, having a lot of followers and all this has this like real equity. And to a degree, yeah, it does. It's got equity, it's got value, but like it only has value based on what I bring to that. So what am I doing to gain these followers or gain this influence? What am I doing with it? Am I doing something that is sustainable? I think that that's where I try to encourage people, especially young people, if they can do this early, because I had a lot of mentors that helped me do this early. And that's why I had a lot of success earlier on, is because I tried to listen to them, even though it was hard. And I kept moving, I kept experimenting, and I dug in hard, and I gave it hell. And quite frankly, right now, it's the best thing is don't get too distracted by it. Like you got to keep checking. That's why I keep saying checking into myself, because that's different than checking in on Facebook, checking in on Instagram, checking in on all these different pieces. And it's like, it's easy to get lost in that information and almost like kind of fake activity. And now there's two generations, millennials and Z, like you said, that are like completely intertwined in that, but they're still human, just like the other generations. it's that we're all people. And I think when you break that down and don't focus as much on like stereotypes or what type of clothes you wear, or if you know how to do certain apps as like some sort of indicator of like, who am I, why am I, and what's my passion and purpose. Those are things that, like, again, it's up to me to dig into that. Not enough people are focused on that because we're so distracted by all the other stuff going on, and it's easy to do. There's a lot to distract.
And you are absolutely right. We are of the same, and I totally agree with you that we should not be focusing on stereotypes. The art of why is something that makes each individual better as a person. The art of why makes asking why, breaking why, makes everybody better as a professional toward a better and more sustainable business environment and a better world. Everybody definitely needs to read The Art of Why, and as soon as the Breaking Why is released, everybody should also read Breaking Why too. Frankie, thank you very much once again for your time and for your presentation and participation at the Leading Entrepreneurs of the World series. Congratulations to yourself and your team for all the value that you have been offering to the business community and the world in general through successful value-adding businesses, as well as through your inspirational writings, books, presentations, and work in general. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. I really enjoyed it. I love what you're doing here, and any way I can support, I will.
We look forward to speaking with you again soon. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frankie. Bye-bye.